about the mass shooting at Florida State University. The investigation still in its early stages, but we now have names and faces of the two men senselessly killed.
Tallahassee was just starting to hum. The Florida sun filtered through the moss-draped oaks, casting golden light across the brick pathways of Florida State University. Students filled the walkways with laughter, caffeine-fueled chatter, and nervous talk of final exams. It was a day like any other, a spring Thursday on a campus bursting with life. And then everything shattered. April 17th, 2025. Just before noon, in the center of FSU's campus, inside the bustling student union, chaos erupted. The everyday sounds, sneakers on tile, music from earbuds, forks clinking against takeout containers, were suddenly drowned out by the staccato cracks of gunfire. Sharp, sudden, echoing off the walls. Students scattered, some screamed, some froze. Others dove under tables or bolted for the exits, abandoning phones, bags, anything that slowed them down. In a matter of seconds, terror rippled through the building like a shockwave. Phones vibrated violently in pockets and backpacks. An emergency alert lit up the screen. Active shooter on campus. Seek shelter immediately. Within moments, the suspect was identified. Phoenix Ikner. Just 20 years old, a student. But not just a name in a headline. This one hit disturbingly close to home. Ikner was the son of Deputy Jessica Ikner, a longtime member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office. He had grown up around police stations, sat in squad cars, worn volunteer lanyards at community events. Law enforcement wasn't just a career in his family, it was their legacy. So how did a child of that world become its nightmare? On that ordinary spring morning, Phoenix Ikner entered the student union carrying a pistol and a shotgun, both registered to his mother. One of them had once been her service weapon, the same kind she likely carried on patrol, the same kind meant to protect. Within minutes, 2 adult men were dead. 5 others, students and university staff, were injured, some critically. The scene was chaotic. Blood on the floor, cries for help, the acrid scent of gunpowder still hanging in the air. Campus police found Ikner nearby and confronted him. He ignored their commands. They shot him, non-fatally. He was taken to a local hospital under armed guard, alive, silent. And then a different kind of silence fell. Florida State University, usually filled with music, laughter, and campus buzz, became a ghost town. SWAT officers swarmed the grounds. Helicopters hovered overhead. Students, professors, janitors, all locked in place, waiting for news, praying for safety. The buzz of sirens filled the air. Radios cracked. Friends texted frantically to check in. Parents sat helpless miles away, refreshing news feeds and pleading for answers. The 2 men who lost their lives that day have yet to be publicly identified, but already their absence has carved a hole in the heart of the community. They were not students, but they were part of this place. They walked its paths, ate in its dining halls, and now they're gone. 5 more, wounded and traumatized, remain hospitalized. For them, healing will be long and uncertain. Florida State University moved quickly. Classes and events were canceled through April 19th. Crisis counselors flooded the campus. Makeshift memorials began appearing within hours. Flowers, notes, FSU hats, and candles flickering in the afternoon sun. Students hugged each other harder. Professors paused their lectures. Grief, usually abstract in university life, now sat in every classroom like an unwanted guest. And then came the revelations. Phoenix Ikner wasn't just troubled, he was radicalized. Investigators uncovered ties to extremist ideology. He'd once been affiliated with the Turning Point USA chapter at Tallahassee State College, but had been removed for repeatedly expressing white supremacist views. His hateful rhetoric, once shrugged off by some as youthful rebellion, had turned into something lethal. The FBI joined the investigation, probing whether this attack was ideologically driven. Was this a hate crime, a planned act of domestic terrorism? And if it was, how did no one see it coming? Then came the question that sent a chill down spines everywhere. How did he get the weapons? The answer was as simple as it was devastating. He got them from home. Both the pistol and shotgun were owned by his mother, legally. One, a retired service weapon, the kind of gun she once used to defend the community. Were they locked up? Were they stored properly? Should law enforcement families be held to higher standards when it comes to weapon safety? Sheriff Walt McNeil didn't sugarcoat it. He acknowledged the heartbreaking irony of a young man raised in the very institution meant to uphold peace, turning those same tools of protection into instruments of death. The department has launched a full review of firearm storage procedures. But will policy changes ever be enough to undo what's already been done? Ikner has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, multiple counts of attempted murder, additional weapons charges. Prosecutors are pursuing the maximum penalties. But even the harshest sentence won't bring back the dead. It won't ease the trauma. It won't answer the questions that now echo through every hallway on campus. University President Richard McCullough stood in front of cameras, eyes heavy with sorrow. "This is a tragic and senseless act of violence at the heart of our campus," he said. "We are grieving. We are heartbroken." Outside the student union, students left tributes. Small ones, powerful ones, a candle, a photo, a note scribbled on notebook paper. "You were loved. We won't forget." Strangers embraced, people cried, and still the question lingered. How do you move forward from something like this? National media descended. The story became a flashpoint, another grim headline in a country all too familiar with gunfire on school grounds. But this wasn't just another school shooting. This one came with a badge, a mother's badge, a gun handed down through trust, a child raised in the house of justice who turned into a destroyer of peace. Deputy Jessica Ikner hasn't made a public statement. Her silence is deafening. Is it grief? Guilt? Shock? The pain of knowing the weapons she kept, perhaps even trained with her son, were the very ones he used to end lives. What does a mother do with that? And what does a campus do with the knowledge that safety is no longer guaranteed, not even in the heart of its most beloved buildings? Florida State University is recovering, slowly, cautiously. Emergency protocols are being reassessed, mental health services are expanding. But no policy can unsee what happened that day. No training drill can prepare students for the sound of gunshots echoing through their cafeteria. Because what happened on April 17th wasn't just a tragedy, it was a breaking point. It was the moment innocence collided with ideology. When a school designed to build futures became a crime scene, when someone who once wore the symbols of service brought devastation to the very community he was meant to protect. And even when the news vans leave and social media moves on, the scars will remain. In whispered conversations, in restless nights, in the way students flinch at the sound of doors slamming. Florida State mourns and waits. And the rest of us? We're left with the question no one wants to answer. What happens when the threat isn't out there in the shadows, but already inside your home?